It's easy to get overwhelmed by the endless demands of life. You struggle to find a balance between work, family, self-care, working out, learning Japanese, filming your YouTube videos, or so I've heard. As a psychologist, I know how important it is to manage your time effectively and the importance of prioritizing your well-being, which is why I take the time out every quarter to plan out my ideal week. In this video, I'll walk you through my steps of setting up my ideal week, and as we do on this channel, I'm going to walk you through the science behind each of my strategies. Developing your ideal week can help to reduce stress, increase productivity, and increase positive affect. That means increase happiness, but don't tell anyone because I like to feel special by using my big words. Okay, I start my process in my Google Calendar because step one in the process is to acknowledge the things that I do not control. But Jay, I thought you said this was going to improve my feelings of well-being. What's the deal? Don't worry, we'll get there. We all have blocks of times that are dictated by other people. For some people, that's working your 9 to 5 or your 7 to 7 shift work. So that block of time, you're required to be at a certain place doing certain things. For some of us, like office workers or knowledge workers, it could be fixed times that you need to attend meetings or fixed times that you need to be in the office versus working from home. For example, I work full-time as a behavioral scientist as well as a clinical psychologist and life coach. So there are certain times of my week that I have to block out specifically to attend meetings related to my work as a scientist, and I block out all day on Friday because those are the days that I see clients. You might start out by blocking that 9 to 5 spot or that 7 to 7 spot, whatever hours you're required to be in the office or hours that are dedicated to work-related things that are beyond your control. As a knowledge worker, I have a good amount of flexibility, so these are the only times that are fixed in my calendar, and I'll be able to plug in all of my other work-related tasks along the week. But work isn't the only thing that dictates my time. I also have some classes that I'm taking and some parent responsibilities that are time specific. So I'm taking a jujitsu class, so I have to schedule that in every Tuesday morning. My son is taking CrossFit lessons, and those happen on Mondays and Wednesdays, so I need to schedule that in as well. Now that I've blocked out all of those recurring commitments, I can go ahead and plug in work-related tasks that I'm supposed to be doing around 7 to 3 since I have a bit of an earlier schedule at work. It turns out I don't just get paid to attend meetings, I have to do other things in my full-time job as a behavioral scientist. There are several things that make up my job as a research scientist. I have to read research articles. I also have to write original protocols based on the hypotheses that we develop from those research articles. I have to actually conduct the research, which involves going out and seeing participants, collecting data, analyzing that data, and finally writing reports based on that data or manuscripts for publications in peer-reviewed journals. Sadly, I'm also required to answer email. So how do I go about scheduling that in to the roughly 32-ish hours remaining in my work week? Although I'm usually working on more than one writing project, one of the great things about working in science is that it's cyclical in nature. So I'm usually not working on a new research protocol while also collecting data for another research protocol. I get to focus my efforts mostly on 1 or 2 areas in the scientific process across the quarter, which is part of the reason why I plan my ideal week every quarter, because what I'm focusing on at work is likely to shift from quarter to quarter. About 4 times a year is a nice time for me to reevaluate my ideal week. This quarter, I've just finished my reports and manuscripts to submit to peer-reviewed journals for review, and I'm starting to read and work on a new research protocol. Most of my time at work this quarter is going to be spent in reading and writing. And this is generally what I consider deep work. Deep work was defined by Cal Newport in his book by the same name as professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capacities to their limit. In other words, deep work is your ability to focus your cognitive effort without distraction on cognitively demanding tasks. This allows you to produce high quality work, but this type of work requires intense focus and mental effort, as opposed to shallow work, which is like attending meetings where you're not fully present, reading emails, completing work trainings. I look at all of my work tasks and I classify them as deep work or shallow work. Now that I have my tasks in these two buckets, I can schedule my day effectively by plugging in those tasks to the time of day that suits them best. For example, I'm an early bird, so I know that I have my highest level of energy and concentration around 9 a.m. through about 11:30 a.m. or noon. These are times where I have peak attention and peak motivation. So I schedule my deep work in those times, but I also give myself some flexibility because I know that these types of endeavors also have the ability to bring me into a flow state. So I also want to take at least one day a week where I'm allowing myself the whole day in the event that I really get immersed in what I'm doing and I've already pre-planned to spend the whole day working on this task. When I am in a flow state, time seems to melt away and I can easily go until 2 or 3 p.m. without having lunch, taking minimal breaks, and really continuing to be engaged and productive in my efforts. Now, this doesn't always happen, so I allow myself to schedule just one day a week where I can get into this flow state and not have anything else scheduled. There is this idealized perfect week that we're working on right now, but life isn't cut and dry. It's not going to go perfectly according to plan, which is why we want to allow for some flexibility whenever possible. If you're interested in how I came up with the idea of the ideal week, I've actually seen it discussed in Japanese planners where they encourage you to think through an ideal week. Some planners even have an additional weekly overview for you to plan out your ideal week. And this concept is also discussed in the Full Focus Planner. The author of that planner also has a book called Your Best Year Ever, where he also discusses the benefit of an ideal week. Okay, now that I've scheduled everything that I have to do, I'm gonna schedule everything that I get to do. Even if you're an hourly worker working 40 hours a week, there's still 128 hours of the week that you can dole out however you see fit. Now let's seize that power so that we can focus on what matters to you. The next step in developing your ideal week is determining your non-negotiables. I think of my non-negotiables as established habits or routines that are consistent with my value system or consistent with my overall goals. Just like your boss is making you come in 2 days a week to keep your job, or your professor is requiring you to come to 10 lectures so that you don't fail the class, you are able to be your own boss here and determine what are your no BS, without fail, must-do items on your calendar. Of course, this is the ideal situation, and I encourage myself and my clients to have flexibility in executing, but it's a worthwhile practice to establish your own boundaries and to understand what's really important to you by setting these non-negotiables. I probably don't need to tell you the importance of sleep in terms of improving your productivity, mental health, and well-being, but that's just how I roll. The benefits of sleep have been well documented across a wide variety of studies. Some of the reasons I focus on sleep include the benefits to your cognitive functioning. That includes improving things like your attention, memory, and problem-solving skills. Sleep is also important for one of my yearly goals with weight loss and weight control. Getting enough sleep helps to regulate hunger hormones as well as improving the likelihood that you'll make healthy food choices. So I'm sleeping from 9 to 5. My goal is to get 7 hours of sleep, and since a study in the Journal of Sleep Research found that adults spend about 90% of the time that they spend in bed actually sleeping, in order for me to get those 7 hours, I actually need to be physically in bed for 8 hours. Finally, sleep is also essential to athletic performance, which is a big part of my life as a human performance scientist and an athlete myself. Sleep restores energy levels, promotes tissue repair, and also encourages recovery, which is awesome for me because my second non-negotiable is exercise. Exercise has been shown to decrease stress hormones and to increase your coping skills by improving your resiliency. Exercise could also improve your overall mental health and well-being, and who doesn't want more of that? Now, with exercise, I wish there was a consistent time in the afternoon that I can schedule in my exercise, because there have been some studies to show that peak athletic performance is around mid-afternoon. But exercise serves multiple purposes in my life. Clearly, I want the benefits of actually doing the exercise, but it's also part of the quality time that I spend with my husband. And the only time that we consistently have together is very early in the morning. So I schedule in my workouts for 5:30 a.m. and I block out an hour of time to spend with him and to also work on my fitness. I've been working out for quite a long time, so it is a pretty ingrained habit, but having a gym buddy also helps to ensure that I maintain that habit, since I have another person to hold me accountable for showing up every morning. My third non-negotiable this quarter is Japanese. I'm learning Japanese. Just some casual language learning. My goal is to master enough Japanese so I'm able to effectively navigate Japan when I visit in 2024. So I am committing to 30 minutes a day of Japanese language learning. I have integrated Japanese in little ways throughout the course of my day, but that is for another video. In terms of blocking out my ideal week, I have blocked out a 30-minute chunk of time every evening to devote to Japanese study. When you're trying to develop a new habit, it's nice to link it to another habit or another regularly occurring thing in your life. Although the author of Atomic Habits, James Clear, is often credited with developing this concept of habit stacking, behavioral chaining is actually a pretty old concept in psychology, originally developed by B.F. Skinner, also known as the father of behavioral psychology. And this is a method where you link new behaviors to existing behaviors, thereby increasing the likelihood that you'll engage in that new behavior. The old behavior becomes kind of a trigger or a reminder, or you're just building on a bigger routine as opposed to trying to start a brand new routine from scratch. My fourth and final non-negotiable is quality time with my husband and son. We've already talked about how my husband and I work out together at 5:30 in the morning. We also have an established date night, and we go on date nights every Friday. So I go ahead and block that into my ideal week. I also want to spend some quality time with my son before he gets too old and doesn't want to hang out with us anymore. So we have family days on Saturday, and we spend all day together, starting with a garage CrossFit workout, and then we do a family activity and we have dinner together as a family. Research has shown that date nights can play a role in maintaining healthy relationships. A study published in the Journal of Marriage and Family found that couples that went on date nights at least once a month had higher levels of relationship satisfaction and better communication when compared to couples that did not go on date night. Another study published in the Journal of Couple and Relationship Therapy found that couples who engaged in new and exciting activities during their date nights reported higher levels of relationship quality, commitment, and satisfaction. Now that we've filled in all of the external obligations and our internal commitments to ourselves, we can look at what time is left to fill in with other life tasks. After work, I want to spend a little bit of quality time with my family. Sometimes that's watching Netflix, sometimes it's playing a game or just chatting with each other about each other's day. I usually try to throw in some laundry before I start cooking, and at some point in the evening, I fold the laundry from the previous day. I'm also consistently working on this YouTube channel, so I block out an hour on Tuesdays and Thursdays to dedicate to working on this YouTube channel. I also take the time when my son is at CrossFit on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I use that hour for scripting or editing. So I have about an hour every day, Monday through Thursday, where I'm focusing on this YouTube channel. In hopes of getting more likes and more subscribes, I dedicate all of my Sunday to this channel. Fortunately, the topics that I cover here on my YouTube channel are consistent with things that I am doing for work, but I don't get to do it while wearing my favorite lipstick, and I generally am not able to utilize some of that scientific information to give practical life advice. I'm so happy that I really get to enjoy what I do both at work and in my free time. And if you're liking it here, consider hitting that like button, and if you want to hang out again, hit that subscribe button. You may have noticed some blank space in my mornings and my evenings, and that is for my morning and evening routines. So if you're interested in what I do there, you can find links to both of those routines right here. Neighbors mowing their lawn right now, not within my control. Pushing through is within my control. Let's do it.